conspiracy by the CIA to engage in encouraging drug traffickers in Nicaragua or elsewhere in Latin America.
Deutsch was there because of the Gary Webb stories. The Gary Webb stories had sparked a national furor.
I would like to have Richard Ross's brother to speak, please.
The United States government turned their head and let this cocaine come into the United States of America.
Allow Gary Webb to have full access. This whole thing is orchestrated.
It was near pandemonium. It was about, I guess, 1,200 people in a standing room only in the auditorium, 2,000 people outside listening on loudspeakers. And it was very hard to keep control. I got called on finally, and I said to her very clearly, I was looking right at Deutsch.
I am a former Los Angeles police narcotics detective, and I worked South Central Los Angeles, and I will tell you, Director Deutsch, that the agency has dealt drugs throughout this country for a long time.
And I was able to name operations.
Director Deutsch, I will refer you to 3 specific agency operations known as Amadeus, Pegasus, and Watchtower. I have Watchtower documents heavily redacted by the agency. I was personally exposed to CIA operations and recruited by CIA personnel who attempted to recruit me in the late 70s to become involved in protecting agency drug operations in this country.
He stumbled and stammered and wrung his hands.
If you have information about CIA illegal activity in drugs, you should immediately bring that information to wherever you want, but let me suggest 3 places. The Los Angeles Police Department.
And of course my response was, I started there 18 years ago, sir, and they tried to kill me. Now what do you want me to do?
If this information turns up wrongdoing, we will bring the people to justice and make them accountable.
The crowd started chanting, "We told you, we told you, we told you." And it was a great moment of unity. And it was a healing moment for me, because I'd been out alone for 18 years and didn't really know that kind of support was there for me either. The average person in South Central Los Angeles did not know anything about really how the CIA worked. They had an intuitive sense.
That you have a private network run by George Bush and Ollie North, not the CIA. You won't find the records in the CIA. They're not there. They're in these privatized intelligence agencies. Will you pursue that? Will you pursue Ollie North and George Bush and the massive documentation? All these gentlemen, like this gentleman here, the co-defendant.
Now that's just kind of a prelude into the next film you're going to make. Understand, they bring the drugs in, and they offer the militarization of police, the checkpoints, the SWAT teams kicking down doors, the helicopters, the surveillance to stop drugs they're shipping in and controlling. Now, just last week, it broke in major U.S. news, a CIA-owned aircraft.
Yeah, I believe it.
Crashed with 3.3 tons of cocaine. They used the national security umbrella to do this, to bring it in. Your film, again, American Drug War, showing tomorrow night at Antone, 6 o'clock, here in Austin, Texas. It's December 20th, 2007. Now, there's a lot of other stuff the film gets into as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not just that. I mean, we talk about the Tommy Chong story. We talk about Tulia, Texas.
Break that down.
Yeah. But in Tulia, Texas, basically one morning, 46 black people were rousted out of bed at about 5 o'clock in the morning and basically cuffed and put on television and rounded up and put in jails. Some of the guys were held in jail for 5 months before they even got to see a lawyer. 5 months before they could even speak to a lawyer. And once they got to see their lawyer, the lawyer basically told them that they were probably looking at 99 years. And this was all based upon the testimony of one cop who is known as like a racist guy. But the point is that when 60 Minutes covered this story, they just made it about like a lone redneck cop. And that, you know, one of the things I was trying to attempt with this film is that I'm not the first person to talk about Iran-Contra or Tulia or all these other stories.
But connecting them together.
But I'm trying to, tell all these stories under one umbrella and say, look, think of these as all drug war stories. Okay, let's look at Tulia again.
Well, the incredible injustices.
Yeah, it's just endless. It's endless. And
also almost all of them weren't even drug users. I mean, they go pick up old black men, old black ladies,
Yeah.
And it turned out the town was shutting down. All they had was the prison, and they just took the black population and stuck them in the prison.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to Tulia and talk to these people, it's just absolutely ridiculous that they were calling this guy who was a hog farmer. They were calling him like this big cocaine kingpin. You know, he was just like, I don't even know what a kingpin is. You know what I mean? And you believe him too. He lived in a shack. You know what I mean? It was absolutely ridiculous. And really,
well, the cop later admitted he just made it all up.
Yeah, he made it up. But but what I found out, even when you talk to these people more, and I didn't have time to get into this in the film. What the cop would do, I mean, we're talking about a town where people are so poor they can't even afford to feed their children. That's how poor these people is. They gave this guy $1,200 a week, and what he did is he would go and he would give people money, and he would go to some poor guy and he'd go, here, I'll give you $500 if you could bring me some cocaine. Well, do you think this poor person's going to say no? Of course they're going to take the money, and in most cases what the person brought back was usually little bags of like chalk or whatever, and all they found was like a couple specks of cocaine in some little bag of chalk. And all these convictions were made on like literally like a speck of cocaine that big, that they put 46 people in prison. Most of them stayed in prison for 4 years before.
The news reported he only got 4 or 5 to actually bring him cocaine. The others, they would just grab them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. But they. And
it turned out that he would move every year to a new town and do it all over Texas.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah, and basically it was all about fueling a task force. I mean, you have these task force. And
multi-jurisdictional.
Yeah, the only way they can get funding is by making arrests. I mean, it's real simple. I mean, in order for them to get their yearly budgets, just like any other business, they have to show a profit.
Well, here's an example. There is almost $4 trillion missing from the Pentagon in the last 10 years. Pentagon, in congressional hearings, says, we don't know where it is, we're not going to talk about it.
Yep.
That's trillion. There's corruption in every level of government and corporations. And I don't gamble. You know me, I don't buy lottery tickets. You ever see me buy a lottery ticket?
No.
I don't smoke marijuana.
No.
I do nothing. And a few months ago, guy knocks on the office door, there's about 8 of us working, and he goes, I'm here for the slot machines. And we go, no, you're not. And he's a cop. There's a cop out in the plainclothes lady. They're waiting. And he goes, and I go, no, there's no slot machines. Well, let me come in. And we're just like, just get out of here, man. We don't do the stuff you do, okay? We're not into your little criminal world. And that's what I wanted to. And then we have another office, and there were cops there looking through the windows. And this isn't just us. It's everybody. We got millions of these cops now, and informants and spies, and it's their business. So, of course, their bosses ship it in. Whoever's dumb enough to use it gets caught up in their dragnet. If you want to defeat the New World Order and the CIA and the corrupt corporations, I'm telling young people, no matter how hard it is, I know this stuff's addictive, but a lot of it's psychological. Get off of it. Get addicted to bike riding, or get addicted to boxing, or get addicted to, rowing, or, get addicted to video games.
Especially when it comes to the harder drugs.
Yeah,
especially the harder drugs.
But I mean, even the potheads, and people go to prison for that all the time, and it gets you into that whole culture. They think it's so cool they smoke pot. Hey, man, you're against the drug war, but you don't think it's cool. And I'm like, no, it's not cool. It's just, it's a substance. It's that whole culture.
Yeah. I mean, and one of the things I was talking about earlier was the GeoCorp. I mean, if you can look it up, the Geo Group, look it up on the internet, Google Geo Group. This is an American-based prison corporation, formerly known as Wackenhut, now that has built prisons on 7 continents. You can actually see that. They brag about it on their website. They show the little dots where all their prisons are all over the world, including 2 prisons in England. I just got back from England showing the film, and a lot of people are like, well, why should British people care about the American drug war? Well, I would be concerned if American-based corporations were building prisons in my backyard.
Because they're going to lobby for more laws and more.
Yeah,
because they've got to put you in their prisons.
Yeah, and in England they actually just had a thing where they were making marijuana not so illegal. Now they're pushing it back. They don't use the schedule 1 through 5. I think they have the category A, B, and C right there, and now they're putting marijuana back into the more dangerous thing because they have to.
Drugs are also very important because for $500 billion in narcotics a year in the U.S., the banks that get those laundered money deposits get to loan out 10 times that amount in fractional reserve banking, or create subsidiary banks. I mean, they even securitize debt now. So $500 billion, okay, is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, really thousands. What's 10 times $500 billion?
500 trillion? No.
Smoking pot there, Kevin.
Well, no.
I'm joking. I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, $500 billion in narcotics brought in each year, laundered through banks. What is 10 times $500 billion?